Disaster in darkness. Right now at 10, the tornado strike zone in Moore is pitch dark. With the power out, you can only hear a few generators. No street lights, no homes, nothing like a normal night in this central Oklahoma town. Good evening, I'm Karen Larson. Russ McCaskey is live tonight in Moore. Russ?
Well, Karen, we are standing smack dab in the middle of the path of this tornado. Of course, it's an F5, and you can just see some of the damage back here behind me. There's a bunch of cars here just mangled. I'm not even sure where they came from, probably across the street at the medical center. But what we can tell you is there's a home that's about 15 yards to my right. There's virtually nothing left of it except a bathtub, and I'm told that two 4-year-olds and a 6-year-old rode out the storm in that bathtub with bicycle helmets on, and they survived. That's what people are saying, is that when you see this damage, it's hard to believe that so many people survived this storm, but that is what happened, and they did so because they took the very best precautions that they could. Now, most of the people who live around here are in shelters or they're staying with relatives because these homes are just uninhabitable. However, that didn't stop the cleanup crews from working right up until sundown tonight. Amid the damage and destruction, there's hope and humanity. People from all over have come to pitch in and help clean up. Jeremy Urey is from Joplin.
You know, everybody came to help Joplin, so do my part to come help Murrow, Oklahoma.
Anybody else need any food?
A rib crib truck rolls by offering free food to those who are hungry.
We are out here helping feed everybody that's cleaning up, and just anybody that needs help, we're out here helping.
The damage in Moore is extensive. Some homes literally gone, others are beyond repair. In the heart of the path of this F5 tornado, there was extensive damage, as you might imagine. Take a look at this bedroom. The roof is completely gone, but look inside the closet. Clothes still neatly hung on hangers. Another crew trying to help finds a pot-bellied pig. They offer it food and water.
I walked over, and sure enough, there's a pig just sitting here, and obviously by the looks of it, he went through the storm from what I can tell.
They called the Humane Society, but the owner showed up to take it. All happening right as the sun sets on day 2 of one of the worst storms to ever hit Oklahoma. And, you know, it was so good to see that sun come out today. This was a pretty tough day here in Moore, Oklahoma. It rained most of the day, hailed at times. That prevented some of the weather crews from going out and doing their surveying and that kind of thing. But eventually it did give way to a pretty nice afternoon and evening. And Dan Perlman joins me. And, Dan, you've been talking to some of these volunteers out here today. One in particular who's looking for something very special.
Yeah, you know, Russ, we've all seen this damage out here. Home after home and building after building absolutely leveled. Now, I talked to some of the people who lost absolutely everything, and I found out that for a lot of them, there's really just one small thing that they want back so their lives can return to some sense of normalcy. The loss is too much for Noah Allen to ignore.
I live about 2 miles from here, and, you know, our house didn't get affected like this.
So he went to see what he could do.
I have a strong back, and I'm ready to help, so I just came over here and decided that's what we're going to do.
This is not a job for the weak. Ready to take it on, Noah met Virgil Bell.
I've been very grateful. I've been really grateful.
Virgil told Noah there is one thing he wants to find.
His daughter has one particular doll that she'd really like, so we've just been really trying to find that one thing for her.
It's not expensive, and it may not seem like much, but it is.
It's a sheep. That's all I know. It's a sheep.
A sheep.
It's her security blanket. It was her best friend.
It's an 8-year-old girl's favorite toy. Now it's a grown man's mission. Noah has found some toys.
Every time I find one, I get all excited, and I'm like, is this? No, that's not it.
There's dejection.
Under this truck right here was his daughter's room, so we've been trying to get underneath that truck.
So far, no luck. But Noah knows what Virgil told him.
It gave her comfort and, you know, gave her such hope.
And now that hope is exactly what Noah wants to restore.
If I see a sheep, I'm going to get excited. I'm going to find that sheep.
Yeah, you know, Noah told me that he hopes to get under that truck, hopefully within the next couple of days. And Russ, he is just one of so many people who are just dedicating their free time to absolute strangers. It's absolutely amazing.
It really is good to see the spirit of volunteerism. It is incredible. It makes you proud as an Oklahoman, no doubt about it. You know, we talked about how difficult this has been, particularly for parents of the children at that school, the Plaza Tower Elementary School. 7 children died there, and 2 News anchor Marla Carter has been following for the last 2 days one man as he searches for his missing daughter.
You can see that crews are now getting in, starting to clean up some of the area. This is one of the medical buildings, the hospital in Moore. It was one of the hardest hit areas, along with the elementary school. Little 9-year-old Janae is her daddy's world.
That's my love. She was my first love.
That relationship, that bond that he had with her is a special bond.
Special because they were a team.
She lost her mother about a year and a half ago, and he was raising her by himself.
So when devastation struck Moore and leveled part of his daughter's school, he went into action.
I was trying to get back, and by the time I already got back over here, the school was gone and everything like that. So I just been waiting, trying to find out something about my daughter.
As the sun set and he went home, he said a prayer with his pastor father.
Lord, I've never lost a child, so I don't know what that feels like.
The next morning, the phone rang.
What do you mean she's with you? What is she doing? Is she playing?
The medical examiner was on the other end of the line.
And then he told me that she had passed and they had her there. And just rage just came over me.
Lord, thank you for her, Father God, Lord.
Then his father, the pastor, stepped in.
Faith is believing when there's no reason to believe. Faith is hoping against hope. Faith is hoping when there is no reason to hope, when it feels like all is lost.
Through faith, Joshua says his first love is sending him a message.
She's telling me that, you know, it's going to be okay. It's not to dwell on it, you know, not to let it get me down. And she's always going to be here with me.
And no doubt the cleanup will continue for months ahead. Back to you.
Marla, thanks. Absolutely heartbreaking to hear that man's story. And your heart goes out to him and you feel for him. And you know that this community is going to rally around him and help lift him up. Again, the damage here is extensive. It is remarkable that there's probably not a great deal more people who lost their lives. But again, the warnings have improved greatly since 1999. As Dan Threlkeld has said over and over again, technology's improved. People are getting the word out and people are taking precautions. And that makes a big difference. Live from Moore, Russ McCaskey, 2 News Works for you. Let's send it back to Karen.
All right, thanks very much, Russ. By now, we've all seen the video of that violent tornado on the ground in Moore yesterday. But our chief meteorologist, Dan Threlkeld, is here with a different look at the storm. Dan?
During severe weather, we show you the reflectivity. We often talk about the hook, and that hook is something that's very helpful for us to identify where the center of circulation is. That even identified where the debris ball was, the stuff that was up in the air. But let me show you a different view. If we lay this thing back, that would be the hook right there, but we have a graphical representation of what the tornado would look like. Now, this is based on data from the complete volume scan of the NextRad radar out of Norman, and as this storm system made its way through the area, we saw the light rain, moderate rain, the heavy rain, then things stopped right before the actual tornado came through. But that's what the radar image looked like at 3:05, and then the storm system made its way through Moore, and that's the debris that would be lofted up in the air from that storm system as it moved through. Coming up in the weather, we're going to talk a little bit more about the storm that happened then, and Karen will also talk about the storm system and where it's at now and what's ahead for Green Country.
Dan, you've got some amazing technology at your fingertips. We're glad you're using it. All right, thanks. Well, the more people see what's happened, the more we all want to help. 2 News is collecting bottles of water that we'll deliver to survivors and volunteers. In just hours today, we collected more than 1,000 cases, and Keystone Chevrolet is matching the donations case for case. Environmental Loop Service even gave more than 5,700 bottles today. They pulled up in a truck. The manager says he felt it was the right thing to do.
With all the devastation going on down in Moore, I mean, they could use all the help they can get. So that's the least we could do to, you know, give them some help.
We will continue taking water donations for the relief efforts tomorrow in front of the 2 News studio at 37th and Peoria from 11 a.m. until 7 p.m. Now, unfortunately, many people across the country only know Oklahoma for our tornadoes and violent weather, and they often ask, why do people live here? Shaq Shackelford, our correspondent from The List, finds the answer.
When you have disaster,
it's
and
home.
Yeah, it is home.
Oklahoma's home.
I personally believe it's one of the greatest states in the United States of America.
Melissa Allen's home was spared, but she's out collecting other people's pictures.
I hope they're alive.
Finding a little hope for those who've lost so much. Our state is well versed in dealing with tragedy. I covered the 1999 May 3rd tornado that hit the same area, killing 36 people. But in my 37 years of living in this state, never once have I had to take shelter from a storm. But back to why we stay, again, it's the people. Okies are amazing at rallying and rebounding. Right now, their backs are against the wall, but they will pull up their boots. They will go to work cleaning up and rebuilding. Some families are just trying to hold on to what they have.
You know, we'll gather what we can to help anybody we can, but we're just glad to be alive. It was a really scary, scary day.
Residents, the only people being allowed back into the neighborhood this morning, people going back in with buckets ready to start the cleanup phase.
That's all you can do. That's all you can do, really. I mean, like I said, we're a little bit blessed more than others right now, but we just hope everybody, you know, gets through this and the help is here.
A massive amount of support is already starting to pour in. Reporting from Moore, Oklahoma, I'm Shaq Shackelford.
Now, our coverage of the devastation in Oklahoma continues on KJRH.com. You can visit our website any time of the day or night and find out more about how you can help. You'll also find an interactive map of the storm track and before and after photos of the damage. Plus, you can watch a time-lapse video of the tornado and learn how to protect your family with our severe weather safety guide. It's all on KJRH.com. Debris as far as the eye can see. Next up, we'll take you up for an aerial view of the tornado's devastating track, and you'll meet people forced to relive a terrible anniversary. Devastation from that EF5 tornado spreads out just as far as the eye can see and more. Just take a look at those pictures. They just tell the whole story right there. From the air, you can see where it just leveled entire rows of homes, and those powerful winds ripped apart so very many businesses. Checking back in now with Russ. Russ, that tornado just ripped apart many people's livelihoods.
No question about that, Karen. You know, people put their whole lives into their businesses, and one thing that we're finding is that several of those businesses were demolished in a matter of seconds. 2 News anchor Justin Wilfon has the story of one business owner who saw his business completely wiped out.
Well, the damage to many businesses across Moore, really incredible. I am standing in what used to be a nutrition store, and now, as you can see, it's basically reduced to insulation, some metal, and a few beams, and that's about it. Completely gone. And I'm joined now by Jace Chandler. Your friend owns this store, and you're just here trying to help.
Absolutely. I just got here about 45 minutes to an hour ago, and I wanted to see if there's any way that I could help out in helping him salvage anything from the store. As you can see, just the level of destruction and everything, there's not much that can be done at this point. But most of all, I'm concerned for him. I mean, it's obviously a very devastating day for him and for a lot of our close friends and family around the area. So anyway, we can be here to help out. We're trying to do that.
And he's okay, even though he was here when the tornado came through?
Yeah, he was here apparently about 5-10 minutes before the tornado came through, and haven't gotten an exact word of how he got out in time, but as you can see, he was very fortunate that he did, because anybody that was here would have definitely been in harm's way.
And how's he feeling about losing his business? Devastated?
It's got to be. It's got to be a devastating day for him and many people in this area. I mean, the amount of destructive force and power from this storm, I think it's really an eye-opener. But I think that's the thing about Oklahomans. I mean, we're all going to be there and help out any way we can. So it'll be a rebuilding process, but I think ultimately everybody will get through this.
For sure. Thanks for talking to us. We appreciate it. So, yeah, a lot of these business owners here and more starting from scratch. Justin Wilfon, 2 News works for you.
It is tough going. Everything they worked for just to have it ripped away in a matter of seconds. So very difficult. But good news is that he's all right, and that's a good sign. Karen, people here are telling me, person after person, that they do plan to rebuild right here in Moore.
As they've done before. All right, thank you, Russ. You know, those who know exactly what people in Moore are going through right now are survivors from Joplin. Tomorrow marks the 2nd anniversary of the Joplin tornado that killed 161 people. One family watched TV coverage from Moore on their computer. The Newmans imagine it's what millions of people did when it happened to them.
It's a weird feeling. Like other people were standing there watching us, and it brings up all the feelings that you had. Like, you remember what it was like.
Just can't forget. The city of Joplin did send a support team to help the people of Moore, and they're there today. After surviving the deadly storm in Joplin, one young woman moved to Moore to start a new life, and just 2 years later, she finds herself riding out another massive tornado.
Went down the road away from the tornado, and we found a drainage ditch. And so we got under the bridge there, got as low as we could. He covered me up, and then just as it passed, it went over us. You know, we just tightened and just held on. And I mean, he got hit with some things, and like my hand got hit, but there's no complaints here. I'm just lucky to be alive.
And Katie says after Joplin, those are the pictures you see right there, she learned to listen to every weather warning, and that's what saved her life again.
2 Works For You weather, certified most accurate.
When we're on TV talking about tornadoes, we try to talk in a calm and kind of a soothing way. We don't try to raise our voice. When you talk to your children about these storms, because they're going to see these pictures, they're going to be talking about that. Let them know that these are, even though we're seeing a lot of pictures of it over and over again, these are still relatively rare. Every time there's thunder outside, for them, they don't know. Let them know that's thunder and it's not a tornado. When we're on television, we're going on and on. That storm could be 50, 100, 150 miles. Remind them that these storms are very, very rare, but do take the time also to talk about the safety in case they're home by themselves. The debris kicked up from this was captured by Alan Wright and Andy Wallace. They were out storm chasing. Great job to them. This afternoon at 3:20, they did find some EF5 damage. That's wind damage of over 200 miles per hour. But you know, that still wasn't the most destructive or deadliest tornado that we've had. That happened back in 1947, before we had modern meteorology. 1947, 116 lives were lost, and for many, they never even knew that the storm was coming. Things are much calmer, fortunately, tonight. 63. We've actually warmed up just a little bit at 63. Russ talked about that wave that came through the Moore Norman area and across southern Oklahoma. Even this afternoon, there were several severe thunderstorm warnings across the south and southeast. Those finally kind of petered out, and they're still huffing and puffing and going off to the east. Rainfall amounts, not that much across northeast Oklahoma, at least since midnight. Most of that was before that. Keep in mind, this was, we had a lot of severe weather on Sunday as well. And then the showers and thunderstorms produced heavier rainfall. McAllister at 3.69. That's the most ever rain that you've ever had for this particular date. The old record was like a little bit more than an inch, so it shattered that. In Centrahoma, that's northeast of Lane, they had 4.5 inches of rainfall in that area. By the way, for Tulsa, we're still running about 3 inches below normal. Our temperatures in the 50s and the 60s. These are the current readings that we have out there. And overnight, we're going to see the skies begin to break up a little bit. Some fog forming early. The clouds will still be hanging on in southern and southeastern Oklahoma. We're going to have Taft Price and George Flickinger giving you updates on the weather tomorrow morning. They'll talk about the partly cloudy skies expected. Now, that's Wednesday. On Thursday, we're going to see some isolated showers. I don't expect severe weather, but there could be more rain coming into the Oklahoma City area for as early as Thursday morning. This model is a little bit more generous with the rainfall. So scattered showers, 20-30% chance even here in Green Country for us on Thursday. All right, overnight we're going to fall into the 50s. It'll be a cool, crisp morning, air a little drier, and those northwest winds at 5. The afternoon right now looking very quiet, 70s and 80s. In around Moore, they'll make around 80, 81. Crews headed there. Probably going to need the sunglasses and the sunscreen if you're going to be out all day long. 20% chance of rain on Thursday. Friday, a low chance of rain. Karen, over the weekend, when a lot of people will be out and about, mid-80s expected. And for Memorial Day out at area lakes and other activities, we're looking at mid-80s coming up. And then by Tuesday, a temperature of 86 degrees. So again, Taft Price will be here in the morning. George Flickinger will be out in Moore, Oklahoma, to get kind of a meteorologist aspect of the damage, the lessons learned, things that you can take away from that. So you definitely want to watch that extended coverage beginning at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning with George and Taft covering the weather. Back to you.
We'll look forward to it. Thank you, Dan. Just ahead, athletes helping with tornado relief. Big Al explains how the sports world is stepping up to help Oklahoma.
Hello, my friends. Bob Stoops says his family could see the tornado heading for Moore out their back window, just a mile away.
So anyway, just thinking of all these so many families that are devastated, and it's going to be a long, this will be a long term effort to get everyone back on their feet.
Matt Kemp launches one to left. That is way back and a home run.
Oklahoma native Matt Kemp pledging $1,000 for every home run he hits from now until mid-July All-Star break. He hit one last night, while Jeremy Hefner, pitcher for the Mets, who attended one of the elementary schools hit by tornadoes, wasn't relieved until he found out his family was safe.
So whenever I heard it was in Moore again, I mean, I was freaking out. So, I mean, I still live in Oklahoma. My house is about 2.5 hours from Moore. We live in Tulsa. Once you've lived there and you're part of the community and the atmosphere in Oklahoma, you don't want to leave. I mean, I come here during the season to play and love my time in New York, but that's where my home is. That's where my heart is.
Two major leaguers to be, pitchers Archie Bradley and Dylan Bundy, are getting involved, both donating memorabilia items to be auctioned off to raise money for the recovery efforts. Kendrick Perkins of the Thunder was getting his hands dirty, helping in the Moore neighborhoods today, while the Thunder donated $1 million to the Red Cross, matching Kevin Durant's $1 million pledge earlier in the day.
To have it hit so close to home, you know, I call Oklahoma City my home now. It's tough to go through, but we're a city that comes together, and we'll bounce back from this. And you know, it's tough. It's tough right now, but the sun's gonna shine soon. So you know, we just got to stick together.
The children, you know, any loss of life, it's just terrible. You know, for these people, we've got to do all we can to help them.
All righty, one other note, the Big 12 baseball tournament scheduled to start tomorrow morning in Oklahoma City has been pushed back to a Thursday start, and it will now be a pool play tournament, not a double elimination. NBA Draft Lottery, Thunder getting pick number 12 and number 29. We'll be right back.
Tonight on The Voice, we learned Muskoge's Swan Brothers will be advancing to the next round, and we continue to follow their journey. But a more powerful moment happened at the start of the show as Oklahoma native Blake Shelton joined his wife Miranda Lambert to sing her song Over You, a tribute to the Oklahoma storm victims. We're starting to wrap up tonight, but we want to check back in with Russ for some final words from Moore.
Really, three things come to mind, Karen. The first is yesterday, talking to people right after the storm had passed, the smell was incredible, and that has kind of cleared out today. That was probably natural gas, and we saw the video of the fires, houses on fire and those kinds of things, so that was probably related to that. Second thing is the electricity. Crews have been out here working until sundown trying to fix the electricity, and they're going to be out here tomorrow full bore on that because that's a top priority. And then third is volunteerism. The people keep just coming by here trying to offer us free food, free water, whatever it is you need. It's so good to see all the people pitching in. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks so much. And that relief effort still continues here tomorrow. We'll be collecting more water.
11 o'clock until 7 o'clock. Come on by and donate your water, and we'll take that to the tornado victims.
All right, thanks for joining us tonight.